Alright, let's dive into something that's been bubbling up in the news lately. Victoria's push for UNESCO World Heritage status for its historic Goldfields. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a no-brainer, right? Preserving history, boosting tourism, maybe even a bit of local pride. But here's where it gets fascinating. Modern-day prospectors are pushing back, and their concerns are way more nuanced than you might think. First off, let's set the stage. Victoria's gold rush isn't just a chapter in history books. It's a living, breathing part of the state's identity. Over 115,000 people still hold a miner's right, a permit that dates back to the 1850s. That's right, the gold rush isn't over. These aren't just hobbyists. They're part of a legacy that's deeply tied to the region's culture. And that's what makes this World Heritage bid so tricky. Personally, I think what's really interesting here is the tension between preservation and continuation. The prospectors aren't against celebrating history, far from it. Many of them feel a profound connection to the miners of the past. One prospector, Chris Bogusis, talks about seeing the marks of pickaxes from the 1850s in the tunnels he explores. That's a tangible link to the past, and it's powerful. But here's the catch. They're worried that World Heritage status might turn these sites into museums, locking them away from the very activity that made them significant in the first place. What many people don't realize is that UNESCO listing doesn't automatically change local laws. But, and this is a big but, it can set the stage for stricter regulations down the line. Jason Cornish, from the Prospectors and Miners Association of Victoria, puts it bluntly. These folks are descendants of the Eureka Stockade rebels. They're wary of government overreach, and that skepticism runs deep. It's not just about gold. It's about autonomy and the spirit of defiance that's part of their heritage. Now, let's talk about the bid itself. Barry Gamble, the guy leading this charge, has a 100% success rate with UNESCO nominations. He's not just confident. He's convinced that Victoria's goldfields are the most extensive and coherent gold rush landscape in the world. And he's got a point. The region's volcanic landscape, combined with the absence of large-scale corporate mining, has preserved the individual stories of thousands of prospectors. That's unique. But here's where it gets tricky. Preserving that history might mean limiting access to it. From my perspective, this raises a deeper question. Can we celebrate the past without freezing it in time? Former Victorian Premier John Brumby insists there's zero downside to the bid, arguing that it won't affect land use or mining rights. But prospectors aren't convinced. They're not just worried about today. They're worried about what could happen in 10, 20, or 50 years. If you take a step back and think about it, their concern isn't just about gold. It's about the freedom to engage with history on their own terms. What this really suggests is that heritage isn't just about what we preserve. It's about how we continue to live it. The goldfields aren't just relics. They're active sites where people still seek their fortune. And that's what makes this bid so complex. It's not just about protecting the past. It's about balancing it with the present and future. One thing that immediately stands out is how this debate reflects broader tensions in heritage conservation. We've seen this play out in other places, Cornwall, for example, where Gamble also worked on a World Heritage bid. The challenge is always the same. How do you honor history without turning it into a static exhibit? In my opinion, the key lies in inclusive dialogue. The prospectors aren't asking for veto power. They're asking to be heard. And that's something we should all be paying attention to. So where does this leave us? The earliest the goldfields could gain World Heritage status is 2030, which gives everyone time to hash this out. But the real question is, can we find a way to celebrate Victoria's gold rush history without sidelining the people who are still living it? Personally, I think the answer is yes, but it's going to take more than just a UNESCO listing. It's going to take a willingness to listen, to adapt, and to recognize that heritage isn't just something we look at, it's something we participate in. What do you think? Is World Heritage status worth the potential risks, or are the prospectors right to be cautious? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.